born and bred in Brighton. At 17, I joined the army. Done 24 years with the regular service and then the reserves. And in 2002, I lost my wife to cancer, which triggered a really serious mental health issue. And my partner now then, after about 3 or 4 years, I met her, pulled us up to North Yorkshire, where things started to get better. And I started getting involved in heritage skills, spoon carving, etc. Did some sessions with the lads who've been wounded and brought back from Afghan. And from a Tuesday afternoon session, it's turned up now to a brand new Veterans Community Hub in Newton Aycliffe, where we run 5 days a week. So I'm that posh southern chap, as I'm called up here.
I was going to say, and it's Veterans Woodcraft, isn't it? Have I got the website right here, Chris? www.veteranswoodcraft.co.uk?
That's correct. Yeah, we're just about to have it. We're revamping it a bit, but yes, certainly you can still get through to us on there, or the we are now part of the www.veteranscommunityhub.co.uk for give you guys and girls a much better view of what we're doing and what we're running.
So, Chris, can you just tell us a little bit about the history of Veterans Woodcraft, kind of where it first started and how initially it got off the ground?
Yeah, it started referring back to my wife, losing my wife to cancer. It triggered some pretty bad stuff, and I was talked off the cliffs at Brighton a couple of times. But it was coming back to my shed and my woodworking shed that was my safe place. And although I may not have done too much of woodworking in there, it was just being in there that I knew helped me. In fact, it saved me life. And then when I was up here and doing the wood carving with the lads from Afghan, I thought we could do with a bigger, better kind of shed. And I started off on just a dining table in one of the art rooms at the recovery centre up here in Capture Garrison. And then at one point we had 14 guys around the table. So I said, we need a proper workshop. So I managed to raise 40 grand and we got a purpose-built workshop out of the back. So that was at the Help for Heroes Recovery Centre in Capture Garrison. After 3 years there, the guys wanted to learn a lot more and maybe look towards employment. So I handed that over and we set up Veterans Woodcraft in a small garage that was about 30 by 30. Eventually we went on to a much bigger workshop in Richmond, North Yorkshire. And then 18 months ago, I was given the opportunity to look at a massive building in Newton Aycliffe, walked in through the door, said, yes, we can do it. And now we have the community hub. So the Richmond workshop is very good for more one-to-one type training. For those who understand, there's a lot of issues where guys and girls find it difficult to be amongst a crowd or a community. So we work with them there. But up at Newton Aycliffe, we've got a much, much bigger workshop. And that's where I am now.
Fantastic. It sounds like it has completely grown from the initial, certainly all guys around the table, to where you are now. So can you just explain a little bit about the setup that you've got and kind of what Veterans Woodcraft are doing now, kind of from what you've expanded to?
Yeah, at the moment, up in whichever workshop you're in, it's the same. But in Newton Aycliffe, not only do we have the workshop as such, we've got the wood workshop, we've got a separate wood tearing area, and we've got a separate machinery room. We've also got a huge storeroom that is full up right now with all sorts. But we also run a drop-in cafe. We've got a training kitchen. Upstairs, we've got a gymnasium, an art room, a small conference area, and we're supported by a mental health team. So that's we're trying to make it sort of a one-stop shop for the guys and girls that come in. And but with the Veterans Woodcraft, at the moment, I'm just preparing I don't know if you can see the wood carving. This is a wood carving course, initial wood carving for spoon carving, just to get the guys hooked on it. And just as a matter of point, I was with the Fijian community on Monday, and one of the wives came up to us and asked if we could work with their 16-year-old son, because her family came from the wood carvers back in Fiji for doing I don't know if you know, but in the Maori world, there's no books. It's all hand carved around the huts, around the outsides, the equivalent of totem poles. And she's asked if we could maybe get the young lad involved in that again. So quite a varied sort of program we have with the, and we cater to everybody's needs if we can.
Yeah, lots of things going on. How has the Veterans Woodcraft Shed, do you think, supported men with their well-being and also some suicide prevention?
Oh, 2000%. We just recently, we've been working with a blind veteran called Brian, who's a superstar. He lost his wife 18 months ago, and about 3 months ago, he decided to end it all. And he was referred to us through the NHS. And now, unbelievable, we've had him on the lathe turning bowls. He's been in the kitchen, he's learned to cook. And 2 weeks ago, he cooked all the scones, or scones, depending which part of the country you come from, for a small party. And this week, he's been confident enough to spend a week with the Blind Veterans UK headquarters at Llandudno. And he will tell you, yes, we saved a life there. But some people just come in for a cup of tea, a comradeship, if you like, a cup of tea and a bun. Others want to get more involved in a particular thing. Wood turning always seems to be the most popular, but we run a furniture restoration course. A lot of the ladies who come along enjoy the scroll saw work, cutting out the shapes and that. And we've just run a couple of Halloween sort of sessions where they've been cutting out the different shapes and things like that. So, or you just come up for a cup of tea, sit down and have a chat, and then that's it.
What do you think do you think there's anything about the kind of practical nature of doing things that just makes it easier for people to open up and talk about mental health, and to be able to start opening up to kind of, support and help? Any ideas what you think it is about doing things practically that just kind of helps that?
Well, again, examples. A lot of the guys and girls who suffer with PTSD, and let's just use PTSD. There's so many levels of PTSD, and people say, but those that come in with the mental health issues, a lot of the guys and girls will be wearing baseball caps that's pulled down over the eyes. And with most mental health, it's very difficult to look at someone in the eyes. So particularly when we're in the wood turning shop, the guys or girls will talk to me, but they talk to the lathe, they talk to the work that they're on, but they know I'm by the side, or one of the team is. One of the most therapeutic things that they say is actually on the furniture restoration is the sanding down. So, and it's, while you're doing this, you've got to concentrate on what you're doing, and it takes your mind off other issues. I'm not saying it cures them or goes away, but for a period of time, all you can do is think about the chisel you've got in hand, the saw or the sander, or working the scroll saw. And for those couple of hours, you kind of relax. And hopefully, once you come off, you've had a couple of hours of that kind of relaxing. For the next 2 hours, you might just, although you may end up coming back down again, it's sort of, if you can imagine a pebble being dropped in the water and you get the ripples, and I'm talking on a veterans aspect now, or no, initially you have the traumatic incident, whatever it is, whether it's civilian or mirror, and the ripples that come out affect the family and the greater sort of community. And likewise, once you start feeling better, or that thing like working in a workshop, drop the pebble in the water and those ripples come back out. So first of all, there's yourself, then your immediate family might feel better, and then slowly and get back into the community. And I'm not saying it's an overnight cure. It could take people many, many years, and some, of course, won't ever get there. But that 2 hours in the workshop with us, or I'll say 2 hours all day, can make a huge difference to the well-being, if you like, of what they're doing.
Yeah, definitely. We hear that quite a lot from sheds about how doing stuff just kind of really opens things up. And just lastly, I'd just like to ask, have you got any advice for sheds about supporting veterans within their own sheds? We know there are lots of veterans and people who've been affected by life in military careers. Have you got any advice for sheds on supporting veterans?
First of all, don't be frightened. We've had incidences where we found some civilians have found it difficult to work with the military, and that's basically because of the military's approach to things. There is a dark humour there, if you like. Sometimes the guys want to get on with things, and the process may not be quite so straightforward. But give it a go. If there's any problems, you've seen Veterans Woodcraft website there. I'm more than happy to get involved and advice. Sometimes there might be a conflict of interest with whatever, but most of the time, let's try and be inclusive, and that goes. We're running an LGBT project as well, and we're working with the ladies. So just not just the veterans, but everybody. Just try and be as inclusive as you can. But any particular problems you're worried about, or you think the person might need help, give us a shout, and we might be able to direct them through to to further help and further assistance. And just before I go, if anybody's travelling up the A1, come off at junction 59 and pop along to Newton Aycliffe, pop in for a cup of tea and a chat, or even local sheds in the northeast. You want a day out, give us a shout and we'll show you around, have some lunch, and we can talk all things wood.